And this is the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast. I'm IJ, Avery, and Misty is here. Thanks everyone for tuning in for another episode of the podcast. And we are, first of all, wanted to mention that we have been sponsored this episode by Piscata, great restaurant in Brooklyn. Yes. Avery's favorite. He's always there. Sometimes he's there. So anyway,
great kale salad, people.
Yeah,
kale, I love kale.
They have everything. They have everything.
Baby kale, adult kale,
and
women kale.
What the kale?
Right. So, topic today, we're discussing who has it harder, guys or girls. So many things, so many factors are into that, right? Practical reasons, other reasons. So we wanted to discuss amongst ourselves, and then obviously take some callers as well, about who has it tougher. Avery.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that, everyone will say that since I'm a guy, I will say guys have a tough life. Look, first of all, maybe from a practical reason, as our previous, discussions, developed, guys have to plan the date. First of all, they go through, they get a ton of resumes. By the time they think of one, they probably haven't had time to look through all of it. At least I know for myself, I never, I outsource all my research to a team of people. Once we get that research done.
Colo mothers in Israel, right?
Colo mothers, the hawk, which we'll discuss in another episode. But once we get that research done, you get to the girl and you think, okay, I have to plan. What will she like? What type of girl is she? Where is she from? If she's from this area, maybe she'll enjoy Starbucks. If she's from this area, maybe she'll enjoy a food date. Maybe she'll enjoy, a nice lounge. So you have to kind of plan it. Once you get to the date, right, then there's the pickup factor. Are you going to meet the parents? How daunting is that? Are the parents going to sit you down? Are they going to give you a faher, which some parents do? Are they going to offer you a cookie? Do you take the cookie? What if you're starving? There's so many different things that you don't realize that come into play, right? Then you get to the date, you pick her up, you have to worry about driving, you have to worry about talking, you have to worry about conversation, having a good, stimulating conversation.
This is going through your mind.
This is all going through my mind.
I just show up. What's up?
That's why it doesn't work.
I know.
Don't be chill. This is crazy. It's madness.
Good. It's good to have levity, obviously.
Wow.
There's so many things you think about. A good joke to say, right?
Right. So it's
also for girls. Like, what do you mean? We have to know what to respond to your joke.
You're in the passenger seat, though. Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, but we don't know you. It's like who's driving, and it's weird. And we also, I get it. No, guys do have it hard in that aspect of having to, plan and pay and drive and park. Oh, gosh.
Hey, the logistics part, the guys have it a lot more tough.
But girls, we also, I don't know, just... It's a different, I don't know, I'm thinking,
you girls just have to worry about coming nice, looking good, making sure the right cologne, a perfume is on.
Oh, you don't want perfume that stays. Is there a perfume that doesn't stay in your car for 2 weeks? That smell can go? We need to invent a 1 minute perfume. I have a candle
in my car, yes. And, sometimes I light it on the first date.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's good that you labeled those things.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
No, but there's so much. I mean, definitely the look is something that guys, 2 seconds. We get dressed. We don't care about it.
How much time on looks?
IJ probably spends as much time. He's like the man in the mirror. He's looking there like mirror on the wall. How do I look? Come on. And he's expecting it to talk back.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time. My expectation for the girl is exactly what I put myself through, is the exact expectation. I want to come looking good. I want to smell right. I want to have a wad of hundreds in my pocket.
What are you doing with that?
Oh my gosh.
I just try to draw, just falls out of my casually on the table. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. How did that get there?
Right. That's
so casually. Oh my gosh.
So we'll miss Misty. So Avery's saying right now that the guys have it a lot more tough for
on the date.
Well, I would say in terms of the logistics of a date.
Right.
Yes. So
what do girls?
Yeah, I mean, are there things girls are worried about? I mean, is there anything on that?
I think emotionally, because we're very into emotions and stuff.
How are you?
Yes, and guys have no feelings. So
certain guys.
Most guys have no feelings.
A lot of guys. Yeah.
So it's definitely hard because we go into it thinking like, oh my gosh, like, you know, we're full of emotions. And then like, I don't know. It's different. It's a different, like, I get what you're saying, Avery. And like, it's definitely, I think, easier for us in a way in that terms. Like, we don't do all that what guys do. But I don't know. I'm thinking more of like an emotional aspect of it. Like emotionally getting ready for a date. And like, I don't know. I think first dates for me, it's like, it's not just a first date. People can look at it and be like, oh, it's just a first date. It's nothing, you know? But like some of us think of it like, no, this is actually, oh my gosh, it's a first date. It can be something more, blah, blah, blah. So like, I think just the way we go into it, thinking, like mentally thinking could be definitely different. And I don't know. That's my thinking of it.
Overall, in terms of shidduchim,
right,
a woman has to wait for a guy to finally give a yes. Women have less yeses at hand.
Yeah, I was
men
gonna
don't
say,
have that. Men don't have. Men have an overflow of yeses,
which I don't get. That's like another point. How do every guy get like tons of resumes? It doesn't make sense to me. Like you don't have to be a good guy to get like 20 different resumes.
You have a heartbeat. You're a guy. You get a resume.
I don't get that. Why? That's not fair. That's like there's so many great girls out there.
To answer that, you know, practically speaking, it's just the age factor because you're really not going to find too many guys out there who are willing to date an older girl.
Right.
But of course, you have, you know, every girl out there who's willing to date an older guy, and there's a bigger age. Obviously, there's a lot more option in that matter, right? Personally, I will tell the ladies out there, I've dated older before, and I'm very okay with it. I've gone up to 3, 4, 5 years older. But there are some very big differences, so I can absolutely understand problems with that. Misty, does that kind of resonate in a way?
No, I hear that about the age thing. Just guys in general get a lot of resumes. Like, you don't have to be a good person to get a good guy to get a lot of resumes.
To get the
That's
resumes.
what I'm saying. I like discuss with so many friends. We're like, it's not fair. Like they get 20, 30, whatever it is, and you know there are these great girls that got like maybe 2, 3. So it's very
well. It's a numbers game as well, because if you look at, let's say you have a girl. So let's say you have a girl who's 22,
right,
and she can only go out with, let's say, any guy from 23 or 22. So 23 to maybe 27. Obviously, you can go older, but we're saying so the girl ideally has maybe 4 or 5 years of an option. You know, and again, that's in their mind. I'm not saying this is my opinion, but this is what the girls have. So they can't go any younger, and most of them are not going to go over that. So that's why they have such low volume to begin with.
Right. Also, it's something I would bring up too, is that guys expect a girl to have her career by 19, to have her career dead set. I think I've mentioned this before, but you have to have, you have to know you're going to be in this program, and you're going to be in this seminary, and you're going to be doing this when you're 10 years down the line. You're going to have 16 kids. People know this going into their marriage sometimes.
Right.
Men should not have to expect that from women. Like, that's not something that we've come to expect it, because that's the way that it's presented. And if you don't get that,
that's
then
a huge,
you're not going to get
that's something that weighs down way more on the guys, in terms of like, you have to have everything figured out 2 weeks after you step off the boat from Eretz Yisrael. Oh, that's wonderful. I'm just going to go, vape and smoke a joint right now, to alleviate my thoughts. But that's really what a lot of people are handling. I mean, personally, I got off the boat from Israel. I joined the yeshiva, and I was listening to Sai. I'm like, okay, yeah. So now I went to a very good college. I don't know how I got into that. It was a business program. And,
weren't you part of that whole singer scandal? Weren't you? Felicity Huffman, Laurie? I know your parents paid some money under the table.
Sorry, I gotta. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No, I wish.
But then they expelled you from college, and now you're here.
But that's a very good point, Avery, that you're bringing up, that the guys do have that expectation factor, meaning on them, much more heavier than a girl. It's like, whatever. Most guys at the end of the day, I think, at least in maybe if you're at least for sure over 30, over 25, it's kind of like, she could work. She might not like. It's kind of.
Hold on, I said the opposite. I said girls have it tougher in terms of resume, but once they're married, then it kind of the role reverses. Like, the guy has to get it together because it's his job to provide for the family.
Yeah.
Till then, on paper, the girl is supposed to look good. The guy can have no idea what he's doing and still get, a quote unquote catch.
That's what I don't get.
Okay, so I would break that down. So yes, the guy might not have his life together, and he could still get 100 resumes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
On the other end of it,
Doesn't make sense.
on the other end of it with the guy, he also has to have his whole life figured out. Like by the time he sends that resume, girls I see a little differently because they want it. They know that they want to get married in high school. Like it's starting already. It's
Yes
starting
and no,
in high
though.
school. They go to Israel.
Yeah, in Israel more.
I disagree
Israel
with you
in
that
college,
guys. I disagree with you
so
that
they
guys
get
have
that.
it ready. I disagree because
Disagree what?
I disagree with you that all guys have to have it, compact and ready to be.
I think that's a
married and working.
societal
Like,
expectation. I wouldn't say they have to.
It is.
I would not certainly tell them to.
It depends who you're dating. If you're dating a girl who's got 18 degrees, is a genius, is an Eloy, is like the second coming of Elizabeth Warren, then that's what that's not going to fit with a guy who's just getting his career started.
Right.
So
right, 100%.
Oh well, that's just in terms of the matchup itself.
Right.
That's just in terms of the matchup itself. But right, so I mean, ultimately, I think we could agree, right? The girls have some girls have it harder, I guess, getting those resumes, and the guys don't have a problem really getting the resumes, but they do have it harder when it comes from that expectation to get everything together very quickly. You have to be in the right yeshiva, you have to be in the right college, you have to be in the right position, then you have to study for the right licenses. Girls also have that, but for some reason they just kill it. Like they're great. I don't know. They're very good at it, right?
We are good at it. That's true.
Guys,
like their main, it depends who you ask, but their main role is to provide. So you want somebody who has like a good job and stuff like that.
Successful podcast is nice.
Yeah. So exactly.
Thank you.
So
it is.
It makes sense that, guys are expected to have like a good career and stuff like that.
That is, I think in a few years that will be called the old ways of thinking. Every married friend I have says, if you think you can meet someone today and the woman's going to stay at home, you're kidding yourself. And I'm like, dude, she could work, I'm okay. Oh, hey, pro women and all that. Do it, baby.
Right.
But obviously it's definitely taking a big change. And I, in fact, see a lot more women maybe being more of the, contributor in terms of the finances. But as long as both people are obviously happy where they are, in my mind, and working, whatever they're doing, fine. Student work, learning, whatever it is, that's really the way to go.
So, just to say, would you say a guy has to have a better career education path? Like, what do you think of that?
Personally,
of that question that we were discussing before.
Personally, I think yes, because I like that the guy could provide and like financially and stuff. So therefore you would need like a set job, like a good job and stuff like that. So I definitely, am for that. But
does he have to be educated per se? Or
per se. Like you're saying, like nowadays really you can make money in a lot of ways and you don't have to have like all these degrees and all that like that. So not necessarily, but it could be like a good thing. But for girls it's different because like girls, I don't feel like, for me personally, I have out of the box jobs and stuff, so I think it's cool when people are different like that. But I think it depends. It's different for guys and girls.
Yeah,
in my
but
opinion.
I like that though. I like when the girl has an out of the box job. I remember like 4 years ago when I was getting resumes saying that they were running a business on Instagram. I'm like, it's so interesting, And I had friends who were like, actually, I think I sent you, Avery, a resume like that. And you're like, what the heck? Instagram? Okay, so look, let me tell you something. You're making $200,000 on Instagram right now.
Nice.
And you're broke here cleaning up the floor after I leave. Yes. No, but so that is a fair point. And that is changing because there are just so many, it's 2020. There's so many different kinds of jobs, so many different kinds of things. So Misty, as a woman, there have been guys you went out with, and at a certain point, probably 1 to 6 dates in, it's like, oh, okay, I actually kind of like this guy, and I can see it going somewhere. And now he has to come into the house and actually sit down and say hi to the father or the mother or the family.
Right.
So this is a very good question here. Who isn't more tough on in that situation? Because I'm like, you know what? It's probably tough for both. It is tough for both. Like, who?
No, for sure, it's for both. I think it's just a different kind of tough. If that makes sense.
Different caliber of tough.
Well, it's hard to be asked if you don't reciprocate the feeling. Like somebody asked me, "Hey, what do you think about the Mets? You like them?" I'm like, "Yeah." Okay. And if they want to take me to a Met game, I'm like, "Yeah." But imagine I didn't like the Mets.
Right.
And they said, "Hey, you want to go to a Met game?" And I said, "Screw you." So imagine going to a girl and say,
right,
"I love you. I want to marry you," in that order. And then she says, "I don't think so."
Well, you would feel it out before. You don't just say, "I love you, I want to marry you," and then not think she would not like feel the same.
Ooh, that's Stom word.
But there's a point. There's a point within the shidduch process, maybe day 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, keep going, that you will determine that this guy is the one. This is the match. I'm going to go out with him. I'm going to be the
one.
Who puts out, who puts that feeler out there.
I think both should. I feel like it'd be, because again, like you're saying, you don't want it to be one side where it's just like, it's not fair to the other side. Like it definitely should be both that you're feeling it out, and maybe, the guy should say it first because it's like nice. But it's not nice. I don't know the word. Like,
it's conservative. It's manly.
Like be a man.
Oh, for the guy.
Like,
it's a masculine
thing.
That's
it's
called,
what it is.
quote unquote, being the man.
Exactly.
Is where that phrase came from.
Exactly. So.
Right. Okay, so that's tough for the guy. But we're talking about actually meeting the family, though. That was my question. Don't deviate from something. You're hiding something. I see. You're hiding something.
Yeah. Yes, I have hidden agendas.
Right. So that part.
Starting my own podcast.
No,
Avery talks Shidduchim.
No, but Avery, more seriously, like that's a big thing when you met the girl 5 times and and she's like, "Oh, I want you to come in next date."
You're like,
who has it tougher?
Who do you think?
The guy. No, I agree.
I think I would say the girl. I would say the girl. I think it's tougher for the girl.
Why?
For like, what's your mother gonna say?
Is it tougher to be wooed?
How
are
you
kidding me? Are you nuts? Are you
how sweaty is your father's hand?
Are you nuts?
How stale is the kishka they have sitting?
In no world is it tougher to be wooed. Have you ever been offered a job, like got an offer letter, and you feel good, and you're like, "Wow, I'm being you're right, I'm a prospect, and they're treating me well, and they want me." It's so much tougher to do the chase.
No, I agree
much tougher
with
to
you.
do the chase.
I agree with you on that.
So IJ's wrong, and we'll put that on the scoreboard.
Nothing new.
Everybody 1, IJ 0.
Nothing wrong. That's go to Gehenna. Guys, we actually have a call, so I'm gonna go take that right now. Hey, thanks for calling in on the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast. What is your name, caller?
My name is Dave.
Dave,
hi, Dave.
Welcome.
Hi, how are you? It's my favorite podcast right here.
That's awesome.
Guys or girls? Who's it tougher for in Shidduchim?
So my take on this is, if I don't say that the guy has it easier, then every girl listening is going to hate me. So I'll stick with that.
Okay, that was good. I like that.
All right, Dave, thanks so much for calling. We appreciate you being on the show.
Yes, every time. All right, bye, Dave.
Always a pleasure listening. Bye.
I'll talk to you soon. Welcome, caller. You're live with IJ, Avery, and Miss D. What is your name?
Hey, my name's Kenny.
Okay.
Long time listener, first time.
Kenny, welcome. Thanks for
Kenny,
listening and everything. So, if you probably saw any of our messages anywhere, that we're talking about who has it harder, boy or girl.
Oh, for sure, girls. No doubt in my mind.
Why?
We have it so easy. We roll out of bed, don't comb our hair. If I flip on deodorant, I go to work. Lysol, I call bed. They take an hour to get dressed. They take an hour to get out of the bathroom. I mean, you guys have it so much worse. I just went through the daily routine. I mean,
the preparation.
You guys go through biologically.
Hold on, Kenny, but we had a conversation before about how much a guy has to prepare. He has to drive on the date. He has to prepare for the mental jokes to think about once he gets into the car. He has to pay. Paying is kind of like the ultimate truth. No?
Paying is the ultimate truth if you don't have a job.
Yeah. If you're on your parents' credit card,
or you're cheap.
Or cheap, yes.
It's part of life. You have to pay for the girl. You have to treat her well.
Thank you. Wow. So nice.
The truth is, the girl also has to respect the guy. I've gone on plenty of dates where I'm just like, wow, she doesn't care.
Ooh. So, and would you like? She was more into the benching than the actual date, which we had last episode.
Exactly. Oh, man.
Okay, Ken. Well, we appreciate your call. Appreciate.
But I was thinking about this. What else is harder for a guy? It's an interesting thought. Yeah.
Well, you'll find out you'll find out in next week's episode because we actually have a whole list of them. Believe it or not. Awesome.
Okay, sounds good.
Kenny, thank you so much for calling. Hatzlacha Rabba in your shidduch journey. Bye-bye. Okay, we have another caller. Jeremy, you said, welcome to the podcast. And who do you think has it worse, the guys or the girls?
Definitely the girls, I think, for sure.
Okay, why specifically?
Well, they're always the ones who are waiting for the call back. It's usually because Shotgun will go to the guy first and be like, hey, I have girls for you, and, we'll basically throw 20 or 30 resumes at them. So it's kind of like a kid in the candy shop situation. There was a situation where a few years ago where I was on an email list of like 10, 11 guys, and the idea was that one guy was running this list, and what he would do is that he would send one resume out to like the 10, 11 guys, and it was basically like a livestock auction. Like that's
a livestock auction. That's
really what it was. I mean, that was the first thing that popped into my mind. I mean, the girls are kind of just treated like whatever. It kind of dehumanizing.
That's true. I like that. That's a good point.
So, and also like the fact that the girls start dating at a much younger age, they're not really fully developed emotionally. So you can kind of, twist and mold them into a way that you want to think in ways.
Wait, what do you mean they're not developed emotionally?
Well, I mean, I think it applies to both guys and girls at that age. You're still finding
girls are dating earlier, so it hits them more. It hits them more.
Exactly. I mean, as opposed to a guy who's usually, they're always going to go to the guy who's 25, 26 and be like, hey, I got to go to 19, 20 for you, 18 even. And it's like, so, I mean, I didn't mean to, make some kind of
I was just clarifying, but got it.
No, and then the corruption begins.
It's clearly IJ's very emotionally developed, as you can tell right there.
Exactly.
Some great points, and thank you so much for calling.
Yeah, and good luck on the radio tomorrow.
Oh yeah, we will.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, by the time this comes out, it'll have been last week, so we hope you enjoyed it. Okay, bye-bye, caller.
Thank you.
Hey, listeners, it's Avery from the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast, and we'd like to thank our sponsors for this week's episode, Piscata. Piscata is both a premier steakhouse and a high-end dairy restaurant. That's right, they have both a meat and dairy location each and are conveniently located in the heart of Flatbush. With their luxurious decor, rich cuisine, and premier service, Piscata is becoming known as one of the go-to restaurants in the tri-state area. And for a limited time, you'll get a free dessert when you mention this podcast. So if you're sick and tired of the boring old Manhattan steakhouses and need a fresh new date spot, make Piscata your next choice.
Hey, welcome caller on line 4, which just opened up. Guys or girls, what do you have to say?
Hi, guys. This is my second time calling. This is Shlomo from Nashville again.
Oh, hey.
And hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
Howdy. Guys or girls?
Howdy, partner. Listen, so I wanted to give some of my input that I think that girls have it a lot harder than guys.
Yes,
primarily because everyone thinks that the clock is ticking for them. And even though like it's a terrible thought process, the facts are, when they reach 40 years old, it's a lot worse than when a guy reaches 40 years old.
Right.
So unfortunately, that's the way society works. It shouldn't be like that because a girl is amazing no matter what age they are, and the fact that they could even have a child is making better than guys.
This guy's such a softie.
Unfortunately, society makes
it
harder on girls for that reason. But listen, it's hard for both sides because everyone always asks me. I'm 25 years old, almost 26, and everyone says, "No, it's time to get married." And all my friends.
Well, yeah, we're going to do an episode.
It's almost like you're old.
Yeah, we're going to have an episode coming out soon about single triggers, like what what hurts the single,
Yeah.
But
the triggers,
you'll call back on that episode.
How to handle that situation? We're gonna bring some people on and discuss that. How to handle those very bad situations.
You got to bring professionals. You guys are awesome. Keep doing an awesome, great job.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And looking forward to hearing from you guys.
Thanks again for calling, Shlomo from Nashville. Bye-bye. Hatzlacha.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for calling in on the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast.
I saw the WhatsApp link. What this is about, like the hardest for the girls, for the guys.
All right, we're on a Shidduch podcast, and we're talking about who has it tougher, guys or girls. So what do you got to say?
It depends on what what topic we're talking about.
I just asked you a question.
So what would you say? So just pick a guy or girl. So what do you think is the most hard for them? So for example, we were just discussing a little bit before that it's tough for the girls. For age.
I think that the guys have it hard, but I don't really know a woman's perspective because I'm not a woman yet.
Yet.
I see that in your future.
I hear that.
It's 2020. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Wow.
Cute.
Baruch Hashem.
Yes. Okay. Cool. No.
All right. Cool. So thanks for calling in, and we appreciate your nonsense.
Don't be mean to the guy. No. Please.
No problem. I hope everybody has it easy, and we can all get along without the share.
Amen. You should find your shidduch bekarov. Yes. Man or woman.
Okay, we have another caller, Gary, on line 3. Gary?
Listen, just quit the show live on air. Tell them the entire shidduch process is nonsense. Everybody in the parsha is way too uptight, and if somebody has a Twitter with some political opinions, they'll throw off the entire shidduch because it's too out of the box to have a Twitter. Screw it all. Burn it to the ground.
Okay.
Well,
Thank
Gary,
you.
that's a good point. That's a good
we
point.
Hung up on him.
We hate you.
Wow.
But anyway, that guy.
If that happened, we would have no revenue, no income, and I'd go broke off this.
Yes, and you'd be married.
Exactly. So, in this sense, I do think that guys have it tougher than girls in terms of hashkafa, because a guy is expected to be quote unquote kovei itim. They expect you to go get the high paying job, make 6 figures, watch the kids, be a family man, have time for your wife, and then be kovei. Just in general, watch the kids. When be a nice guy, be there for the kids. Make and I watch them. I'm not washing them either, but make time for your wife, make time for everything, and then be a kovei itim. Be on that hashkafa, which most girls say like, oh, I want a guy who makes time for learning, which a lot of guys fabricate that they do. Let's call a spade a spade. Men say that they learn, then they don't, or they put on a rebbe who has no shaykhs to them at all. Let's be honest here.
Oh my gosh!
I know many guys have done that.
Yeah.
In terms of a girl, I wouldn't say a girl is not expected to go to minyan. A girl is not expected to, I think girls are just more spiritually in tune. They have they're more in touch with davening and tehillim and things like that. Yeah. Guys have the expectation, like I said, to learn and have a good knowledge of.
But do you think that's a bad thing? Why is that a bad thing?
No, it's a more difficult thing for guys. It's a higher, like a shadchan will say, for example, even a shadchan will ask, like, it's not really it's not the shadchan's business to ask, like, oh, how much do you learn and blah, blah, blah. Like, first of all, you want to know, call the reference, you want to know something like that. That's not necessarily. But that's what they
do, though. That's their thing, to just.
It is. They probe.
Business.
Yeah, they like to probe.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily their business.
Right. I hear.
But that definitely makes it tougher on guys. Even a modern girl, for example, like she may not, want to cover her hair or may want to have shorter sleeves and shorter skirts.
Right.
They're still going to be looked at as being pretty from. Like they're not going to be.
Really? I don't think so.
Well, maybe not covering hair. I could say that. Okay, maybe not covering hair, but like having a shorter skirt, they can be given like, okay, but they're very spiritual but they want to be in that world. They grew up modern and they're moving towards that path. Like a guy who was yeshivish and is going the other way is going to be, judged harshly.
You're saying her past doesn't follow her? Like a girl gets it easier if she... Like
if she grew up in a modern home and then she became more from religious and more spiritual and is into, davening and tehillim and wants to cover her hair. And they're going to be given a little bit more hashkafa room than a guy who grew up in a quote unquote, in a frummer background in a white shirt home and went to a yeshiva, wore a black hat, and then decided not to. They're going to be judged like a guy who's like throwing it off. You know, they're throwing away that whole
That's so interesting
background.
Never thought of it like that.
Right. And yeah, so
like there's the thought of like you're going up in Kedusha, and if you're not going up in Kedusha, you're going down in Kedusha. You're
going down.
That's how it is.
Yeah, you know, obviously, I just realized
it's not that obvious. If it was, you wouldn't have a podcast.
There are a ton of more hashkafic issues that can come up with a guy. So hashkafa-wise, a guy does have a bigger time because, you know, he has, I don't want to say bigger time. I want to say it's more tough because there are a lot more out there. And for a girl, it's literally only one thing, and it sucks, and it's tznius. It doesn't matter if the girl davens all day. It doesn't matter if she's saying Tehillim all day. It doesn't matter if she's baking 68 challahs every week. It doesn't matter. It's all about the tznius for the girl. And obviously there's a lot more a part of a person than just physical tznius. Again, physical tznius, fashion modesty. We're not talking about someone. We have to be tznius. We have to be dignified, modest people in general.
So you're saying
everyone has to have that. So the girls are. So the girls are right. The girls are like way more judged on that, and that is really the only thing that they hold up against you, because it's very easy to just say, yeah, I'm going to wear a sheitel and I don't wear pants and I don't think so. Pants is a very pants is just it cuts it like. That's the next compartment. That's the next category. Oh, you wear pants? Okay, so maybe Shidduchim isn't for you. You know, that's probably where a lot of girls get kind of taken out. And girls can handle it. They're like, you know, I went to yeshiva. I grew up like, oh, it's okay, I could wear a skirt. But, sorry, I could wear a skirt, right. But actual tznius, meaning like, you know, elbows and the way they dress and all those things like that. So, you know, Misty, help me out here. It's like, you know, the knees and the elbows is very big.
Right. Thank you, Dr.
Now,
D.
for a guy,
a collarbone.
A guy, it's many things. So the girl has that one thing over their shoulder, and the guy has many things. The guy, it doesn't end.
But that's a big thing.
The guy has going to minyan. The guy has doing chesed. The guy has learning Torah. The guy has to have a rebbe. The guy has to have the career. The guy has to have all these things.
Wear a hat.
Already lined up hashkafically. He has to have his shul. He has to have his kiddush club. He has to have the right piece of herring picked out already. Hey, these things are important. No, so that's really where the difference comes in. Where I don't know. Do you want one huge big problem, or do you want like 100 of them? So I probably in that instance would have to give it to the guy and saying that, yeah, hashkafa is a lot more on them.
I do think it's harder for a guy to connect back hashkafically than it is for a girl.
Right.
I really do. Misty, what do you think about that?
What do you mean? Like you were saying spiritually and stuff?
Right. To get fully, like I said before though, spiritually guys are just less attuned than girls are. So then just to get back into it, it takes a lot. It takes minyan. It takes learning. It takes everything that IJ just mentioned. So
that's why it's good that
that's why it could be tougher for they do. But that's why finding a shidduch, they're judged more for being, involved in that whole segment, that whole area.
Right. No, I agree with that. I'm not gonna deny that. I think, there's definitely more, but I think tznius is a big, big topic. It's not just like wearing a skirt. It's not just covering your elbows. It's definitely more than that. It's a mentality that goes behind it, I think. And so it's definitely like one big topic, but it's like a big thing for girls. So.
Yeah, and we'll obviously we're gonna have an episode on that, maybe with a fashion blog or someone who's a dress artist, whatever. So one of those
tznius by some Jew.
Tznius, by someone. But right, I mean, it's a plethora of things for a male, and for a female, it's obviously just the tznius. Is there anything else, Misty, that they would be judged upon for the hashkafa?
Ooh, good question. Not that I could think of at the moment, but there might be. Probably. probably.
Okay, maybe seminaries could be a thing.
Oh, actually, that's a good point.
Yeah, maybe what seminary they went to.
Or if did you go to seminary?
Did you go is a big thing.
Like
did you go to seminary?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Like, I feel like girls who don't go get what's the word? They just get put down for it. Like, you didn't go to seminary. You didn't go to seminary in Israel. Like, it's a big thing. And like many girls choose seminaries based on like, because for Shidduchim in the future, like I need to go to this seminary because I know it's going to get me a good Shidduch, like all the top seminaries.
Especially more
BJJ
yeshivish.
and all that. Yeah, all that stuff. So like definitely, that's a really good point. Seminaries are a big factor in Shidduchim.
Are there some, what do you mean? So there's some seminaries you're saying that are looked more negatively upon?
Or better, they're like the top seminary, like the Beis Yaakov, like teacher seminaries, BJJ, and all these stuff. Like, props to these schools are amazing. It's just like not every girl is, like is able to fit into that kind of school,
right?
So, but definitely seminaries.
That's an interesting thought, because I know for guys can go to a few yeshivas. Guys, I know I've
been thrown out of about 10 yeshivas.
You have, and they did not regret it. But I know a bunch of guys who have gone to several, like a few, like went to TJ for a couple years, and they started off very bummy, and then they became white shirt yeshiva guys. Went to the mirror, were very from.
Right. So seminary also does that to girls. Like we start off at one point, and then we come back. Definitely.
So then should they be judged by what seminary they went to? Shouldn't they be judged by the product and the outcome of what they are?
They shouldn't, but like that's the reality that you're judged where you go to school, what seminary, if you even went. And like in Israel, it's like everything you're judged by.
Yeah, I've listened to a lot of Rebbeim give shiur about that, and they're kvetching, right? The girl can do everything right, and one thing wrong, it's held against her. And a guy, he can be thrown out of every single yeshiva. He can have the worst resume, he can be the worst human being. You know who I'm thinking of right now. And like, and bam, they're married, kids, the money, it all just happens for the shidduch was a breeze. The shidduch dating was a breeze.
That's what I don't get.
He got every girl. They all went out with him,
but he was a catch.
And he was, but he was a catch, yes.
Was he?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, not in IJ's books.
Oh, he was not a catch.
He married the Rosh Yeshiva's daughter.
Oh. See, that I don't get. I don't get
okay.
how that happens.
I don't get it either. But at the same time,
so the hashkafic differences, so you're saying, Misty, what would you say? I mean, I'm saying the guys definitely for the hashkafic, the hashkafic area. What about you?
I might have to say guy.
Oh, okay, nice. Wow, she finally came.
Don't get used to it.
To the dark side.
Well,
of the force.
It depends on the community you're in my opinion. It depends if you live in a more modern Orthodox community, if you live in a firmer Brooklyn community, if you expect your kids to stay in a yeshiva after they come back to college, and they go to a Mir or Lakewood or something like that, then you're going to be judging very harshly. You're going to be judging what they wear a hat, if they wear a white shirt, how they look, how they how they dress, what their schedule is in terms of learning. Like, I've been called for references for friends who are in very prominent yeshivas, and they're like, okay, what does he do in his free time? How much time does he spend learning? And I have to like convince these mothers who are hawks. I have to convince them that my friend is very sincere about learning, even though he went to one of the, let's quote unquote, like, one of the, I keep saying quote unquote, stop that. Even though he went to one of the bummy yeshivas, let's say, even though he went to one of the bummy yeshivas, he became very from, and I have to like go to bat for this guy. So
he became very from. Okay, so probably that. So one thing I wanted to also say, who has it more tough, right, is the actual breakup itself. That's a separate episode, breakups. Yeah. But we're just talking, I guess, for this one, because we're saying who has it more tough, guy or girl. Who has it more tough in terms of the breakup, handling it, or whatever?
Girl, definitely girl, because.
You're just saying girl.
I'm just saying girl because I've been saying guy all night, so I have to kind of
just want the girls.
I have to give the girls a point.
Yes,
I have to give them a point.
No, but it's definitely harder than the girls.
Well, I
with
think
emotions and all that.
Girls are more emotional. They're more prone to start getting into a middle of a 8-ounce Haagen-Dazs bucket.
Yeah,
stick their head in there and binge watch Friends, with tissue boxes. But that was also IJ for a time. So I don't know if it's necessarily girls.
For a time. For a time last Thursday. Yeah. So if that's for a time. No, that could be a big problem.
Girls probably handle breakups worse than guys because guys just generally are less emotional.
Right. Well, I don't think that they're necessarily less emotional. They just hide it better or put it aside better. Most of them. Right? I remember 50-50, maybe even more. There are a lot of girls out there who are not emotional.
Yeah, I remember a girl came into my father came in and said he heard back from one of the shidduchim that he was dealing with on my behalf and said that this girl did not want to go back out with me after like 2 or 3 dates, and I'm like, can you pass the ketchup? That was the emotional. That was your reflect. That was it. I'm like, okay.
Wow, you do not feel anything.
There was no feeling, no nothing. So
how do you do that? I don't get that. How do guys don't feel?
Born that way.
No, I don't believe
there are guys that feel like really? IJ feels.
Please.
I'm sensitive. I'm sensitive.
Yeah, there are guys that
us big guys are.
It's a big guy thing.
Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Look at Shaquille O'Neal. This week tragedy. So yeah, it happens.
Honestly, my mom was like that. No emotion for a girl. So Kal v'chomer.
What?
My mom won't have emotion. Cut.
I don't get that.
I don't know.
That was great.
That's a thing. It's a thing. Emotions. It depends. There are girls who are not emotional.
So yeah.
I don't get that either. I wish. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Aside from emotion, anything else? Any other factor that you would think?
No.
Okay, it happens.
Yep.
Maybe the rebound effect. Like, how does it affect your dating going forward? Like, you become more jaded and worn out from it. Like,
for sure.
Girls are probably going to carry that on their shoulder a little bit with them. Like, they got noted and they got denied by somebody, so they're just going to take it with them. Like with the
guys don't do that either. Like
as like a defense mechanism. I do that to an extent that I will read a person and someone will say no to me, someone will say yes to me, and I'll be like, okay, I could tell based off that last person who said no or yes that it's not going to work out.
Okay, that makes sense.
But in closing, Avery and Misty, what are your takeaways? What do you want these people to walk away with?
Yeah, so we had a general topic of guys or girls having it tougher, and we got into a bunch of different areas of where it's tougher on each. In my opinion, it's tough on both. So I can't really say that men have it. There are different factors that are tougher for guys, like hashkafa, like the financial aspect, like the planning of the date aspect. But in general, it's also tough for women who are going on the date and getting less resumes and dealing with, the shotgun, which could be a little bit more tough, who could be tough on them and their personality. So it's really a hard question to answer. And, we're all in this battle together. So, just to keep moving on and striving. And that's my opinion here. Misty.
Oh, Misty wants me to go. She's like pointing. Okay, I go first.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, go first.
Ladies first.
Ladies first. Oh, so I'll.
Okay, that's a little tougher for guys going first. So
right. Yeah, look, both sides have it just as bad, and I want people to understand that this was an episode of going through everything in Shidduchim and more, and just going through, is this tough? Is this more tough for the girl, or is this more tough for the guy? Because of course it's subjective. It really depends on the situation. It's not about, we can't be objective here because everyone handles it differently. So I'll definitely say on the physical look side, the girls have it a lot more tough because they have to get a lot more glammed up and have things more prepared and have the right shidduch pictures. But remember that you can control that. You can control that. So that actually might be an advantage. Try to look better, get a better picture. Poll guys, call us up, send us your information. We'll tell you if it's good or not. Right, Avery?
Only say the truth.
And then
oh man.
And I also think it's I think that's really probably what's tougher on the girls is having the physical look, and for the guys it's the expectation of the beginning with the logistics. So the logistics part, you have to have that in mind,
right,
that the guy is handling all this. Like, not only is he going to a long day of work and he's trying to learn, or he's having some issues at work and maybe he's not learning, whatever the case may be, you have to realize that he's handling a lot. And I have went out with a lot of girls who gave me credit for that, and we've spoken about that because it's something I have brought up on dates. So those two takeaways, that's what's tough for the girls, that's what's tough for the guys, and also kind of pounded a little bit on the hashkafa as well. the hashkafa is big, for the girls. Look, it's not easy. The tznius aspect is very tough.
Right.
And for the guys, it's also hard with all those other things.
Right. Here. So I agree. I think everybody's saying that it's hard for both sides, just for different reasons. And I think for girls, like you're saying, that they do get judged more on their looks and all like that stuff. And it's definitely true. But I also think for the guys that, yeah, it's true. You have to plan, you have to pay, you have to drive and all these things. But it doesn't mean that we don't appreciate it. And I think that girls, to say thank you at the end of the day, it's like a thing. To say thank you and be appreciative of like the guy taking you out, taking their time for that. So I agree. It's both. But like, it's just hard for both sides in different ways.
In different ways, yeah. Yeah. No, definitely.
And that's it.
Okay. So again, we enjoyed having everyone on. We did want to give a shout out to all our listeners. Thank you so much. We recently just hit 10,000, actually a little bit more already, over 10,000 downloads. And we don't want to brag about this. We simply want to make people aware that they're not alone in their shidduch journey. We are here. We want to help you. We are a very experienced group of people. Mm-hmm. And of course, we take call-ins, so we have your experience as well. Yep. Mm-hmm. And let's continue to believe that, shidduch dating will, get better. So this has been another episode of the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast. You know where we are at. And this has been another episode of the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast. You know where to find us.
The LMNO Broadcast Network.